In a world full of fast-advancing technology, the science of human healthcare is always changing. One area of in-depth research today revolves around the use of human stem cells and their potential to produce curative medical treatments for many of the diseases that affect our communities. Today, this video will help you understand what stem cells are, what their unique abilities are, how they are being used in medical research, and what potential issues are that surround the use of stem cells. There are four main types of stem cells, and these four types are embryonic, tissue-specific, mesenchymal, and induced pluripotent. Embryonic stem cells are those that are formed in the human blastocyst shortly after fertilization of an egg. A blastocyst is a tiny ball of human cells that forms 3 to 5 days after fertilization and gives rise to the entire human body. The stem cells inside of a human blastocyst are pluripotent, meaning that they can specialize and give rise to many different types of tissue. One cell has the ability to differentiate into, say, a heart cell, a lung cell, a kidney cell, a bone cell, and so on and so forth. Tissue-specific stem cells give rise to only one type of specific differentiated cell. One stem cell will become a cardiac cell, another stem cell will become a bone cell, etc., etc. Mesenchymal stem cells are the least understood stem cells of all. They have many different functions. They can cause angiogenesis, which is a fancy word for blood vessel growth, as well as regenerate connective tissues such as cartilage and muscle tissue. Mesenchymal stem cells are the stem cells that are used in bone marrow transplants, which can help out in many different disease situations because of their wide range of activity. Induced pluripotent stem cells are stem cells that started as tissue-specific, but then were altered in a lab to behave like embryonic stem cells. Stem cells are important because they can divide and self-renew for extended periods of time, much longer than normal body cells. They are unspecialized themselves, but give rise to quite specialized cells. These characteristics allow them to act as an internal repair system for normal cells in the human body. Imagine this as a type of malware protection that comes hardwired into your human body hard drive. These unique traits of stem cells, which allow them to regenerate damaged or dying cells, provides an opportunity to treat after an acute but traumatic injury. Two types of stem cells that are of special importance in today's research are neuronal stem cells and mesenchymal stem cells. Neuronal stem cells are being investigated for their potential to treat or cure neurological disorders such as Parkinson's, Huntington's, Alzheimer's, or any other disease that targets and destroys neurons over time. Mesenchymal stem cells are being investigated for their potential to treat acute and traumatic injuries such as heart attacks and heart disease, strokes, or bone and cartilage injuries. It is much more difficult to understand the ways that mesenchymal stem cells could successfully be used to treat and target injuries, as there are so many more pathways that mesenchymal cells could work through. So, how does all of this science relate to your life? Well, let's imagine for a second that you have a beloved pet mouse named Bob. One day, Bob starts acting funny. You notice that Bob is having a lot of muscle stiffness and develops a slight tremor. You take Bob to the vet, and the vet tells you that he thinks Bob has Parkinson's. Oh no! The vet explains that Parkinson's affects the neurons in your brain that produce dopamine. The disease breaks down these dopaminergic neurons over time, leading to a decrease in dopamine production and release, and giving rise to the symptoms that Bob is experiencing. Then the vet tells you that you could admit Bob to a clinical trial that uses injections of neuronal stem cells to attempt to minimize the symptoms of Parkinson's. And it sounds great. After a few months of injections, Bob is back to his old self again, with no muscle stiffness and only a slight tremor. It's a miracle. What happened in this scenario has actually been demonstrated in labs across the world. Fetal neuronal stem cell injections into a patient's brain has shown success in both normalizing dopamine levels in the brain and repairing damaged neurons over time. While this has not been demonstrated in late-level clinical trials just yet, the researchers are optimistic regarding this type of treatment's promise in the future.